Well, Spring, that's not exactly how I expected that hockey game rather to go after a 3-0 first period. After the Avs scored three, the rest of the game was all Edmonton, all the time. It was a complete masterclass in cycle. It was a complete masterclass in hemming a team in their own zone. That top line from Edmonton was all over Colorado in the second and the third period. And unfortunately, they just can't hang on. They lose 4-3 at home. This is a game in which you unfortunately spoil a two-goal evening from Nathan MacKinnon, a two-goal first period. And maybe if you can hold on to that 3-0 lead in the first and not give up one late with a minute to go in that first period. Maybe if MacKinnon doesn't hit a post in the second and that thing goes in when he beats Stuart Skinner, this thing is different. But you gotta take your hat off when a really good hockey team plays really good hockey. And holy shit, are the Edmonton Oilers a scary hockey club?
Yeah, no, that was something I was gonna say, and I guess I'll just say it right off the bat because there's a lot here. Edmonton looks really good.
Yep.
They that's the bet that what I saw from Edmonton tonight, and we've seen every good team this season. We're gonna see a lot of them coming up with the rest of this homestand. That's the best team I've seen. That's better. Their Achilles heel, their one weak spot, and hey, the Avs know this story. Is it Stuart Skinner and net? He makes some big saves late. I don't think he's as good as a Blackwood even. I don't think he's in that top tier, but he was in a cup final last year. Man, the Oilers, we talked about this, and granted it was a Georgiev start the last time the Avs played him, and it was at Ball Arena. It was a 4-1 win late November for Edmonton, and it just stood out to me. That's a big team. We remember that team from the conference finals when the Avs won the cup. Like, and Evan Bouchard was a rookie, second year player at the time, and I liked, he's a good prospect. He looked promising, and I know Nathan MacKinnon walks him on his second goal, but he had the game-winning goal. He's now coming to his prime. They're bigger. They're more stout defensively than they were 2-3 years ago when the Avs saw them in that conference finals. They were in the cup finals last year. They're hungry. They showed that clip from the Amazon Prime show of Connor McDavid after a game 2 loss to the Panthers, just chewing his team out. He was fired up, showing that leadership. He sets the example on the ice. And it's funny because, Nathan MacKinnon has the two very nice goals, especially the second one in the first period. And who's thinking, especially Avs fans, MacKinnon, when he gets head-to-head with McDavid, he just owns them. And yeah, maybe McDavid is a regular season machine and, good for him for getting to the cup finals. But MacKinnon owns them, and MacKinnon's better in the playoffs. And when they get head-to-head, MacKinnon's better. And then by the end of this game, and MacKinnon played well tonight. He hits a crossbar post in the 6-on-5. MacKinnon played very well. Connor McDavid, he played even by when it was all said and done. He played even better. Draisaitl outplayed Rantanen. Bouchard and Makar was unfortunately Makar wasn't a true factor tonight. I don't know if it's not having Valeri Nichushkin because he gives them size that can match Edmonton. But man, even with Blackwood, even with that, he was great tonight. I don't know. He was great, Mackenzie Blackwood. The Oilers are just a half step ahead of Colorado right now.
I mean, I thought there was a complete lack of compete in the second period and down into the final, the first 15 minutes of the third period from this team. You did hit it right on the head. And I said this earlier today on the morning sprint when we were previewing this game. I told Coach Sanford I am more scared, and this is before I watched what happened tonight. I'm more scared of the Edmonton Oilers this year than I ever have been. Ever. I am more scared of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl's ability to realize just how tantalizingly close they were to a championship last year. And while I never thought that Edmonton could truly claw back from that massive hole in the Stanley Cup final, and I know they forced a game 7 and we got that. It always felt as though Florida was going to get that thing done. I think I think a reality set in for McDavid, for Draisaitl, for Bouchard, and that the rest of that core there, that it, it's not taken for granted that you're getting back there. And you can look at the Ottawa Senators of the mid 2000s. You can look at the San Jose Sharks, who were that team for the better part of a decade with Marlowe and Thornton and Chichu and all those stud players. Um, you can look at Nashville when they got there to a cup final in their prime with Pekka Rinne, and they lost to Pittsburgh in a cup final and they never got back. I think reality hit them pretty hard last year that, like, if we don't take it up another notch, we may never get there with arguably the two best players in hockey on the team. Um, I didn't think they had that level of forecheck in them. Their cycle work was sensational. They threw 31 pucks at the net in the second period alone. 31.
Yeah, and the first period, man, up 3-0. The two McKinnon goals, Logan O'Connor scoring first, and nice, forechecking play. Kiviranta O'Connor leaving right where he left off, and it was almost, I right where he left off was, the miracle 2-point save against the Rangers. And while this was cleaner tonight, there weren't as many dumb turnovers and mishandles of the puck. They got outskated just the same, essentially. New York to Edmonton. It was very similar. It was even better, actually, what Edmonton was able to do compared to what the Rangers were able to do. But the Avs were a step behind in the second and the third period. Man, you look back. Here's another thing I wanted to lead early on with. And if Casey Middlestat stuffs that puck in like the opening minute of the game, that was right there for him on the doorstep, and he's kind of timid. He doesn't go get that puck and charge towards it and just backhand that thing, and he's reaching from afar as if he's like expecting to get hit. That was a goal right there on the doorstep for you, and you lose by one. And Casey Middlestat was more of a non-factor tonight. I saw Adrian Dater tweet tonight about the possibility of Middlestat being traded, being flipped once again here at the deadline. I don't know. You're not gonna. It's a diminishing returns thing. I don't think you'll get fair value. I don't think you'll get the same value. Whatever Bowen Byram is, the way he's playing right now. Once again, he bounced between a second line of Rantanen and Colton, and would also again play with Inola and Poland on the fourth line. When you're playing Edmonton, you got to have Casey Middlestat playing well. You got to have everyone playing well. And man, it once again, 2 straight games wasn't quite there.
Yeah, I've been saying that Middlestat needs to get to the Four Nations break more than any other player in the National Hockey League, and maybe the team needs to get there needs to get there before we thought, right? They have been on and off in the power play. We'll get to the power play because it has been absolutely atrocious. The power play is Ray Bennett needs to figure that the fuck out. Like, it is absolutely unacceptable that you are 2 for your last 27 when Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Cale Makar are on the ice at the same time. It's unacceptable. And because they look better 5-on-5 than they do 5-on-4. I don't know what he's doing there, but something needs to change drastically. Are they outperforming what they've put on the ice over the last month? Because they have had the third best record in the NHL going back to December 1. They vaulted themselves back into the playoff conversation. They vaulted themselves back into the conversation about the top 3 seeds in the Central Division. But it does feel as though there are a few things missing. They have figured out goaltending. Like, Mackenzie Blackwood was fine tonight. The team in front of him was bad. And
I thought Blackwood was tremendous.
Yeah, I thought he was good enough. He gave you a chance to win, and
made
unfortunately,
big
the team didn't
saves.
show up in the second and the third.
He made big saves throughout this game. First period, I mean, the 2 in particular were tremendous, and then there were a couple even as this game went on. But when you are essentially getting doubled in offensive zone time, so you could have Patrick Waugh back there. eventually you get broken when you are hemmed in your own zone and under pressure. And it's not like Edmonton put a bunch of shots on goal, but they definitely dominated the ozone time tonight. And I don't think Blackwood did what he could. I thought he was very good tonight. I thought it was all in front of him. And in fact, going into the third period, like Edmonton comes back and ties this at 3, and everything in my mind is saying, "Oh, Edmonton's going to win this game." Like they have completely taken control of this thing. They are outplaying the Avs, and the only thing that gave me a thought that the Avs could win that game was that they had Blackwood. It was literally the only saving grace I thought they had. Edmonton wins the third period 1-0. Avs couldn't score, couldn't get that 6-on-5 magic again. I thought they were good in the 6-on-5, but you can't rely on the 6-on-5.
No, you can't. And they have been very good. They've scored, they had 2 goals against Buffalo. They scored the other night on the 6-on-5 and parlayed it into a win. You can't, I agree. You cannot continue to rely on last ditch efforts in the final 3 minutes of a period. Cole has a really good comment on Twitch saying O'Connor can't keep being your second best player every night. It's a losing battle. They miss Valerian Nichushkin, man. They miss Val. They miss Casey Middlestat from the beginning of this year because he's turned into a ghost. I thought there were times where he looked a little bit better today in his zone entries, but he's still way too perimeter, and that's a plague that's infecting the majority of the team. I don't think McKinnon was perimeter today. I don't think Rantanen was, but obviously he was not as effective as Leon Draisaitl this evening. But there is a plague around this team where they are very, very perimeter for some reason. You notice the net front presence from the Worm, from Corey Perry tonight. The net front presence from him and Zach Hyman was phenomenal, and you're missing that right now. And Val Nichushkin brings that to your power play. He brings that to your 5-on-5. Um, that's something that Casey Middlestat might need to put into his game if he doesn't want his minutes cut. If he doesn't want to be in trade deadline rumors, he needs to get to the blue paint, and maybe that cures some things for the Avs.
I think Casey does have trade value. I mean, how old is he? He's got to be like 25, 26 years old. Um, Unfortunately, making $5-ish million is if he's playing well, it's actually kind of a bargain, but right now it's not. Yeah, he's 26 years old. There is value there. It would be decent money to shed either way. Especially when you talk about the bigger picture things of extending Miko, ultimately extending Kale, having room for all of it, just simply getting that money off the books. And it's a shame. It's a shame I'm even saying that right now. And it's funny because, I like the prospects of Blackwood, all of the, upside he had, his positioning, his standing in the league when he came in. A lot of those same things could have been said about Casey Middlestat. I was all on board with that move, just like I was the Blackwood move, because, he's a guy who was about a 10th overall pick, showed a good incline of progression with the Sabres, has tools, has size, can skate, a center, like all of the boxes you want to check, much like with Blackwood, were there for Casey Middlestat. So I do not know what is going on right there. And I don't think it's a coaching thing. Because Jared Bednar has gotten he gets the best out of a Logan O'Connor. So I don't know what is going. That is a mystery. What is going on with Casey Middlestat?
It sure is. I wonder. Do you start Blackwood on Saturday against Dallas?
Scott Wedgwood is he a former Star? Has he played for the Stars?
He is a former Star. Maybe start Wedgie, some money on the board.
Right? He's a good goalie. See, the thing is, Blackwood is so good. And now the Avs, well, I mean, thank good. It feels like they're 0-2.
You don't want to run him into the ground, man.
You don't want to run him into the ground. And it feels like I was literally going to say it feels like they're 0-2 on this homestand. No, they're 1-1. They're 1-1. So you can spell Blackwood. Man, stealing those 2 points against the Rangers was huge. The ability when you're not playing your best, when you're without Val, and man, these teams in the West are big. They all have size, and Val helps even that out. You take him out, I've talked that their size goes way down. So the ability to steal points is huge, and that's goaltending. That is top end talent. It's hustle guys like O'Connor. Thank God they stole those 2 points. Or I would be like, dude, you got to throw Blackwood back in there because now you're in desperation mode. Maybe you
Yeah,
can go to Wedgwood though, and maybe just to shake things up, just to Wedgwood, the guys like him in the room. He is a good goalie. Just maybe let's shake something up here.
and it's a shame that you saw this effort from the team tonight coming off of the ass chewing that they had from Bednar in the post-game presser just 2 nights ago after they come back and they beat New York. He basically called the effort worthless. And maybe it's the worst possible thing that Edmonton was on a back-to-back tonight. They were on their second legs, and maybe you come out and you pump them in the first period, then you go, all right, we're gonna be fine. They're gonna go away. They're tired. We're up by 3. We'll be fine. And before you know it, McDavid and Draisaitl are spinning circles around you. Bednar's gonna have a come to Jesus meeting with these guys. Like if his message didn't get through on Monday, it's gonna get through tonight.
Edmonton has won 8 out of 9. They are
They're the hottest
16,
team in the NHL since December 1st.
3-1 in their last 20. They got got by a better team tonight. Now, here's the question I'm asking myself is, are the Avs as talented? Like, can they get to that level? It's tough for me to say no because of the talent that Colorado has, and especially with the Nichushkin coming back. But I don't know. Is it the Avs won their cup? Edmonton has it, therefore Edmonton just wants it more because Edmonton's playing like they want. I mean, they're 16-3-1 in their last 20. Won 8 of their last 9. That's a team that wants it. That is talented. I know the Avs have been banged up this year. And I've talked about maybe the multiple 5-game win streaks they can go on. They haven't even come close to a stretch like what Edmonton's on. I don't know. This could be a thing, and we'll see how it progresses over the course of the season into the playoffs. But maybe the Avs just are who they are right now. They have a chance to change that perception, though, coming up with Dallas, Minnesota, and Winnipeg coming to town. But I feel pretty kicked right now. If I'm the Avs, I feel pretty kicked. I feel like Edmonton's above you, and I don't know how you catch them right now.
I don't think you're not catching Edmonton. I mean that's a team that you leave in the dust. Edmonton, I think, is looking to start what they did at the end of the season last year. And Mish says Avs retired. Can we keep all the guys out of the Four Nations and send them to Hawaii? I would prefer that. Like I would prefer, and Nate wasn't the problem tonight. Kale was not the problem tonight. Both of those guys were good. I thought your stars looked good, good enough. Not in the second period. Nobody looked good in the second period, but I don't think those guys were the issues this evening. I thought it was a grander problem of defending in a very passive manner and failing to get pucks out of the zone. Like you can just look at the Kiwi Ranta failed clear after the minute and 40-second shift where they're hemmed in their own zone. It directly leads to a goal from the top of the zone. I would like those players to not play in the Four Nations, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not too juiced up about that tournament. I know everyone's like, "Oh, best on best," and it's not best on best. Russia's not playing, so
Every team is going to feel this way.
my
Every
excitement
single
is
team, every
sapped.
single fan base is not going to want their players playing in this thing. Every single fan base is going to want their players to get the rest instead of playing and putting themselves up to injury. On the note of the Four Nations, though, they interviewed on ESPN tonight, McKinnon after the first intermission after the first period, and they talked about him playing with McDavid in the Four Nations for Team Canada, and it was the first time it really kind of set into me like, damn, it's gonna be it. That is one thing. Seeing those two play together and with Kale on the blue line, Taves on the blue line, Team Canada, that's going to be fun to watch. Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon play together. And I found it funny too. End of the first period, Rantanen and Draisaitl, they kind of get tangled up and they kind of start going at it with each other a little bit as that first period ends. And to me, it was the fight for who's the better Robin. It's like I'm the better Robin. No, I'm the better Robin. To the Batman that is McKinnon and McDavid. Look, Draisaitl was better than Rantanen
Dude,
tonight,
Draisaitl's a better player than Mikko Rantanen is. He just is.
but Rantanen wants Draisaitl money. Rantanen has a look late in this game. He gets a puck in the slot and he fumbles it, and he had an open net. Leon Draisaitl did not score tonight either. He had 2 assists. Rantanen had 1, but Draisaitl nearly scores twice.
I was terrified every time Draisaitl had the puck on his stick. I
If
was
not
not
for
terrified every
2
time Rantanen did.
excellent Mackenzie Blackwood saves. Both Blackwood saves on those 2 A-plus Draisaitl chances were excellent saves. It took those saves from Blackwood to stop Draisaitl. Mikko was conversely not as dangerous.
Completely agree. And this might be a case study that the team looks at and goes, you want to be paid as much as that guy? You want to be paid more than Nathan MacKinnon, who had 2 goals this evening? You want to be paid more than Leon Draisaitl, who was dangerous every time the puck was on his stick tonight, who has 31 goals on the season? And I know Mikko's scoring, but he is also leading the league in empty netters. Maybe it's a case study that they can go, take the 12x5, just do it. Like, sign the deal and let's forget about this. Let's move on. When you look at trades, if this Middlestat trade rumor has any legs that that Dater was tweeting out about earlier today, there's a couple of names out there that you would like to see that are kind of around the same AAV. The sexiest name on the market right now is JT Miller.
Oh, dude, did you see JT Miller tonight?
I didn't.
So
What happened?
the first Kings goal, Kings got up 3-0 in this game. If you watch JT Miller on this first Kings goal, it is 100% clear he does not want to be there. He gave 0 effort. So what's the
Oh, his
deal?
controller died.
What's the deal in Vancouver right now? JT Miller and Elias Pettersson hate each other's guts.
Hate each other's guts.
Do we know why?
I haven't looked into it enough. I know that
I
they
haven't
just
either.
can't play. They hate playing with each other. They hate each other, and both of them have gone to the organization and have gone either trade him or trade me. Both guys have gone to the organization and go, it's either him or me. Make a decision. Someone's getting moved.
Well, I mean, look, that makes, because Middlestat's trade value isn't what it ideally could be. If you have a malcontent or a couple malcontents in Vancouver, that affects trade value there as well.
The issue is that you would be jumping up 3.5-ish million to get up there. The same thing would be happening. You'd be jumping up near not 4 million, but what, 3.25 to get up to Sidney Crosby if he ever becomes available. You'd have to make the money work. I do believe that they need to make a trade for a bottom 2 defenseman, a stay-at-home, solid, big body, number 5, number 6 D-man. I would like them to look at Scott Mayfield from New York, who still has 2 or 3 more years of term left on his deal. I don't have it in front. I would like them to make a trade for that guy because I think the DeHaan and Middleton experiment it showed you tonight. If DeHaan and Middleton are on the ice against that top line in Edmonton, it's a losing proposition. And if you're in Edmonton, they're just going to be hunting that matchup all day long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they need help in the back end of their decor, and we'll see when Miles Wood gets back. Obviously, Nichushkin, that helps fill things out because you're still rocking with Jason Polin, Yuri Inola, and I know that the fourth lines are what they are, but that's a pretty weak fourth line. And Edmonton right now, they came into tonight pretty healthy. They're going to win that matchup in terms of, they got Corey Perry and Jeff Skinner on their fourth line. And, hey, Jeff Skinner had as many 5-on-5 goals coming into tonight as Nathan McKinnon. We made that heard loud and clear tonight. But now, Jeff Skinner, Corey Perry on your fourth line, that's championship fourth line. Yuri Inola, Jason Polin, and apparently Casey Middlestat is not a championship fourth line. And Ivan is out. So, hopefully, there are some reinforcements coming, but there also will be whether Scott Mayfield's a name that makes perfect sense. That's very Sean Walker-ish. They're different types of players, but in terms of level, contract, etc., I could see something like that.
Certainly could. Moving ahead to the rest of this homestand spring, you said it. I think you said it best. It feels like you're 0-2. Dallas is going to be, and I thought this was always going to be the hardest game of this homestand, was the Dallas game. If you can't get up for that, and they have 3 straight efforts that look this bad, I wonder if Chris McFarland does something. If he makes a move. Like if it's 3 straight games of crap, and crap, that C-Mac goes, all right, we're doing something. We're trading one of these guys. We're getting a new D-man. We're going to possibly pull parachute on a young centerman that we like, and the organization does like him in Casey Middlestat. I worry that if they don't answer the bell on Saturday, changes might happen.
What makes Middlestat expendable as well is Ross Colton, his ability now to be your second line center, or hell, they could play Mikko Rantanen at second line center like they attempted to do a little bit, certainly to start this game tonight. But absolutely Ross Colton. And, Ross, Rantanen, I don't know that second line, because it's not just Middlestat. Maybe it's just if there's one cog out of whack, it's throwing the whole second line operation off. But for whatever reason, whoever is playing on the second line right now, and I think that Middlestat is absolutely culprit number one when you watch them play, but Colton's production has gone down. Mikko's production has gone down playing on that second line. And that's an issue. You can't. You got to have 2 power lines in today's NHL. You can't just have one. And the second line, it's not just Middlestat. Second line in general has struggled. So, yeah, but I echo what you say, Raj. And I believe in Ross Colton. He's working hard. Lekkonen's working hard. Even though they're not producing, they're still working hard and impacting the game in little ways that I'm not seeing a Middlestat do so. It makes him expendable.
I see a lot of comments from people on Twitch of like, oh, get rid of, like Doc says, get rid of Landy's money. Landy's money isn't hurting you right now. That money is being utilized. He's on LTIR. All $7 million of his contract right now are actively being used by the Avalanche. So that's not holding them back from making a deal. What's holding them back from making a deal is that you're up against the cap, right? You have already spent that money. Therefore, if you were to make a move, you would have to move money out to bring money in. So we've already gone over that multiple times, you and me, Spring, about who the guys would be, right? You would have to move. I guess if you're throwing Middlestat into this equation, Middlestat now becomes part of the group of Middlestat, Gerard, Manson, Colton, Wood, and that's probably it in terms of the guys that you would have to move money out, because no one else you want to trade on this team. Those are the guys that you would have to move out to bring in players.
I mean, heck,
And no, Daniel, you're being a troll. You shouldn't be worried about Bedsy's future. I see you comment about it every single game that they either lose or they come close to losing. Stop being a troll, dude. You're just ruining the community guidelines. Screw off with that.
Yeah. No, Jared Bednar.
Don't troll.
He's a damn good coach. And like these are all home games. These are litmus tests against some of the best teams in the NHL, and they're all at home. So if they finish this homestand sub 500, it's concerning. It would be absolutely concerning because they're all at home. Given despite the level of competition, I do wonder though, how does tonight look if Nichushkin plays? How does all of this look? And I
It all
hate
looks
to
different.
I hate to fall back on it. He's such an impactful player with his size, though. He is not only a great player in his own right, but what his size and speed bring opens other things up for everyone else. So, that's what you can't hold. If you want to go after Jared Bednar, you do it if this team is in a position where they're largely healthy and not having an Nichushkin doesn't constitute. Miles Wood, sure. Okay, you can't count someone like that. Nichushkin is their third best player, forward wise. He's their third best forward. You want to have your third best forward. I want to see. I wish I could see what it would have looked like tonight. If it was the same effort with Nichushkin in there, then yeah, maybe I would look at Jared Bednar, but I can't do that right now.
You may get those opportunities, and Nichushkin has had some setbacks in his most recent physical rehab, trying to get back onto the ice. It looks as though he may be available next week. They thought he was going to be available during this homestand, but Bednar said on the morning show with Vic Moj and Brett that he would not be available to play. They'd have to look at him in the following week. I wouldn't rush him back. I mean, you're already flirting with danger right now with Jonathan Drouin, who missed the last like 8 minutes or so, if I'm correct, of that second period after he took a big hit from Draisaitl. That guy's been dealing with a nagging upper body injury that will not get better, as he said, throughout the season. He just has to deal with it, and when it's really bad and it's stiff and he can't play, then he can't play. You're already dancing with the devil there. So I don't know if you push to get Nichushkin back early.
Yeah, the long play is the smart play. It's so easy for us to overreact. Granted, Edmonton looks damn good.
Yeah, they're real.
It's
That is real.
it's one of those things that makes me think, the way Edmonton looked tonight, the Avs can go do this. They can do that. They can make this move. They can make that move. I don't know if there's any external move they can make that solves the problem of the talent and the play that Edmonton presented tonight. I think it all has to come in-house, short of a Middlestat trade or something like that. Mikko has to outplay Leon Draisaitl. Cale Makar has to dominate. I thought he was good, but he has to be, visibly better than Evan Bouchard to the point where it's like, damn, no, Cale Makar is the Norris Trophy winner, and there's not a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
I maybe it's just January. Maybe there are some vacations booked during the Four Nations that they're looking for. Look, they played better of late. Their playoff position is looking rather secure. A lot of these guys have already won their cup. Edmonton, they have that drive. You could see the drive tonight.
That's why I'm
Maybe
more
it's as
scared about
simple
them
as
now than ever.
maybe the Avs will flip the switch that they can when playoff season comes and their opportunity to get their second cup really comes around. But I think this all comes from in-house, and I don't think it's a Bednar thing. There's not a single other coach that could come in and would light some sort of fire. It has to come from the players themselves. I really think that.
Yeah, the playoff spot's fine. I'm not worried about them not making a playoff spot. Like you just might have to be okay with them being a wild card this year. And honestly, I would be. Like being a wild card means you might get to go through the Pacific, which means you would have to go up against Edmonton, right? Like you'd have to find a way either to get past Edmonton or get past Vegas in the first round as that second wild card, because then you would then play the number one seed, or rather the number two overall seed, the one seed coming out of the Pacific Division. You would play one of those guys. So I wouldn't hate uh, a little bit of a new blood matchup there. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to me. Rather than seeing, like Winnipeg again, seeing
It,
Minnesota again.
obviously Edmonton impressed tonight, but man, even when the Avs lost in Winnipeg, and it was the real a few nights ago, that 3-0 loss, and it was that true Jets game for me this season. After now we're into 2025, it just became crystal clear to me. No, Winnipeg's for real. I think Edmonton's even better what I saw tonight, but it's just reinforcing so much right now how much of a gauntlet these Stanley Cup playoffs are going to be, specifically in the Western Conference. It is all of these teams at the top are dangerous. That separation that Colorado had in the past is not there anymore. It
No,
is
it
as
isn't.
it is as even as it can be. Thank God the Avs got the goalie in Blackwood. That really helps, but I don't think it puts them over anyone. This is even Stevens across the board right now. And Edmonton being my leader in the clubhouse.
I think there are 5 legit cup contenders in the West. I think there is I think there are 2 cup favorites in the West, probably just one. My 5 contenders are Colorado, Edmonton, Vegas, Dallas, Winnipeg. My favorite is Edmonton. I'm right alongside you. And my other favorite, because of what they've been doing and because of how Connor Hellebuck looks, I could throw Winnipeg in there as a favorite as well. They have to prove it in the playoffs. They haven't done it yet. Um, but I'm okay with putting them into a contender tier rather than a favorite tier. I'd be cool with going. It is Edmonton, and then 4 other teams that are contenders to knock Edmonton off.
I completely agree. I completely agree with those 5 teams. I'd go Minnesota 6. We'll see if Kaprizov and Faber play on Monday or whenever it is the Avs play the Wild. They'll be back soon. I'll go Minnesota 6. But really, yeah, I would stop at those 5. That's a tough 5. That's a tough 5. But at least you're in the 5. At least you're in the 5.
Like
And it
look at
just becomes a crap shot at this point.
look at the East, man. The East has one cup favorite. I think they have 1 or 2 legit contenders, and then I don't know what the hell is happening. Like I can't call Toronto a contender, right? You guys have, if you guys have listened to the program over the last few years, what's my favorite thing to say about the Toronto Maple Leafs? They're a team that's built to lose hockey games, and they're still
Sure.
built to lose hockey games. Florida, favorite. Until you show me a team in the East that's better than Florida, cup favorite in the East. Cup contenders, New Jersey. I don't know who anyone else is in the East.
The
Like
East, dude, the East is a little weak. There's a
it's
reason
wide open.
Washington is leading that Metro. I think that's a product of the weaker conference right now. And look, Florida, the most reliable on paper good team, won the cup last year. They lost at home to Detroit tonight, and so there's a little something going on weird with the Panthers, just a little bit. I think we're getting a new champion this year. And right now, it looks like it's going to come from the West, and it looks like it's going to be one of those 5 teams that we talked about.
Like eventually great players win Stanley Cup championships. There's not many Joe Thorntons out there, man. Like there really aren't. There are not many all-time greats. And Joe Thornton's an all-time great. He's not even at the level that Connor McDavid is. Most of the time, those guys find a way to win a cup. Like Ovi found a way to win his cup, and it always felt like, oh, they're never going to break through. Alexander Ovechkin is just going to be a guy who scores 1 billion goals and never gets past Sidney Crosby. In 1 year, it clicked and they got through. Eventually, Connor McDavid's going to win a Stanley Cup championship. He's too good not to. And he has another guy who's right next to him that is also too good not to win a championship. It could very well be them this year. I I was scared about them before tonight. I'm very scared about them after tonight.
And a part of me feels a little bad. I wish I could tell Avs fans like, hey, no, the Avs are better than the Oilers still. I think it's damn close. Don't get me wrong.
It's damn close.
And I don't think this isn't the Avs' fault. It's nothing that they did wrong. They made the right moves. Getting the goaltenders, they have the right roster in place, and things can change. But right now, it looks like Edmonton season more than Colorado season. But again, things can change. That's an impressive win for Edmonton tonight. All of the shit that McDavid has taken in his matchups with McKinnon, and he comes back down 3-0, second night of a back-to-back. That's a benchmark win that you look back on, later in a season and say turning point type moment.
Yeah, you certainly do, and you hope that it can possibly be a turning point for the Avalanche as well, where you look back on this and you go, what just happened to us? What happened to us the last two games? What is going on that we had to hold on for dear life to just tie the game against New York, and then we got up 3-0 and took the pedal off the gas, or the foot off the gas pedal, and Edmonton runs right back in. Hopefully, it's a spot where you see them turn it back around. More often than not, they have responded this year, and that there's a reason why you have a very firm hold on the first wild card spot right now. It's because you've responded in situations like this. It's because you've bounced back up off the mat when you've been very, very injured this season. I expect them to put a really good effort forth on Saturday. As Sports Fanatic goes, imagine Ovi breaks Gretzky's record and the Caps win the cup this year. I think he retires and he goes back to Russia immediately if that happens.
Storybook, fairy tale. That's a
Yeah,
fairy tale right there.
you close it immediately. You don't worry about getting to 900 goals. Although that'd be a really cool club to just have to yourself, the 900 goal club. But if he ends it,
You keep playing. You keep playing.
you think you do?
Yeah, you let that gut grow a little bit more even. You just coast to a few more goals. And you just pop some beers. You just live the good life on the ice while you make good money doing it.
You
It's
sit on the bench for 57 minutes until the Caps are up 2-1 and the opposition pulls the goalie and it's like, oh, it's Ovi time. Get on out there, bud.
Yager's still playing, albeit in the Czech league, but Ovi's got that Yager in him where
Yeah, he does.
he'll just play. But man, look, that's a fairy tale. And shout out to the Washington Capitals for now being 7 points clear of the Devils with 2 games in hand in the Metro Division. They're well on pace to win that division and be one of the top 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference. I would be surprised if they won the cup this year, though.
Oh, I'd be very surprised. I still think the Rangers get in as the 7 or the 8 seed and they make a deep run. I think
I
that's
agree.
going to be the team that they like everyone looked at. It's been a dumpster fire. It has been. But if you looked at them recently, like they're starting to turn it around and they're only 5 points out of a wild card spot and they have 2 games in hand. And you look at New York and you go, that's a President's Trophy winning team from last year. I think they get as a 7 or an 8. And if Washington wins that division and you have to get paired up against New York and you look at Igor Shesterkin and you have to go, oh crap, what was this season all for? I think that's what's going to happen.
I was also thinking about potential like Toronto, New York first round matchup. If that could happen, New York is one of the wild card teams versus Toronto. Should they win the Atlantic, and that would be such a Maple Leafs first round matchup. Like, man, we won the Atlantic. Like the Bruins have been winning this division, and then the Panthers last year, and now it's our time. And wait, we have to play a really damn good team on paper that underperformed and got their shit together late in the season that is probably better than us overall on paper. Like that would be the most Maple Leafs thing ever. But look, that's another thing with these 2 Avs games. Was New York a bad team for stretches over the past couple months? Yes, but they're figuring it out and they're much better than they have been playing. Now, the Avs played well these last 2 nights, no, but or 3 nights, but I do think that the Rangers and Oilers are 2 very good teams that did bring their A games. So it's not like, this was like the Montreal loss or anything like that. These were 2 good teams that did play well, albeit in your building.
Yeah, and you walked out with what's essentially a wash.
Thank you, Mackenzie Blackwood.
Yeah, thank you. Mackenzie Blackwood is right. I hope Bedsy plays Wedgwood on Saturday. I'm also ecstatic that you made me watch that JT Miller back check because it is, dude, his controller died so hard on that back check. You're right. He doesn't want to be there. He has no desire to be there. They're getting the wheels blown off of him by LA right now.
Yeah. No, that's I kind of predicted a little come down for the Canucks this season, but I could not have foreseen this drama really being the crux of it all. It's
The Vancouver
hilarious.
Canucks, the darlings of Between the Pipes, circa 2017.
I was in the first in the first, yes, the Canucks were our darlings. In the first period of this game, I'm thinking, dude, McKinnon just won himself another heart. By the end of it, now I'm thinking, McDavid, good for you. You outplayed McKinnon. It was a great matchup between the two, at least between those two specifically. I'm thinking, if not for Connor Hellebuck, Blackwood should get the Vezina, and it made me go look at the Norris Trophy odds. It's a dead heap. It's a tie. The two co-favorites to win the Norris, it's Makar and Hughes. I need Makar to go seize that thing, to go clearly, like I know he can, outplay Quinn Hughes. That's the type of stretch Cale Makar needs to go win. He needs to go grab that Norris Trophy.
Yeah, and I do want to see I want to see the league go back to, if there is a dominant player at his position, that guy wins the awards. And you saw that with Nicholas Lidstrom for years and years and years. It was just, yeah, the Norris Trophy's his. He is the best guy. He has the best stats. He's the best defender in the world. And I want Cale to get to that point, because for a long time, the Norris Trophy turned into a glorified lifetime achievement award, where we were looking at, here's PK Subban's award, here's Shea Weber's award, here's Mark Giordano's award. All of these guys just getting these little one-offs. I'm ready for Cale to like stake his claim. I'm gonna go win 5 out of the next 6 of these things. I think they're gonna do it with Hellbuck. Like he's gonna win that Vesna, man, and he'll win 2 in a row, which we haven't seen in quite a while. And I hope that Makar is that guy as well. I think he's
You
going to
know,
be.
who is just the odds makers are really only giving 3 defensemen a chance to win the cup. Like I mentioned, Makar and Hughes, co-favorites, both I saw at plus 160. I think the odds were like plus 200. Right behind Makar and Hughes, Zach Werenski of the Blue Jackets, who actually
He's lead.
leads all D-men in points, 1 point ahead of Makar with 51. Makar has 50 points. Man, shout out to Zach Werenski and
Leads
that
all
Blue
D men.
Jackets team.
Leads all D men spring, and he leads the entirety of the Columbus Blue Jackets in points.
What a season. What a season for Zach Werenski. What a season for the Blue Jackets following the obviously terrible events in passing of Johnny Gaudreau and the Blue Jackets. They took care of business tonight. They handled the Sharks at home. They just beaten the Flyers in overtime. That team, do I think the Rangers get it done and get one of those spots? I hope it's not at the expense of the Blue Jackets. It might be though, but that'll
Yeah,
be interesting down the stretch.
if you guys are looking for a team to root for in the East, that's an easy one to root for.
Sure.
It's like seeing the LA Rams in the postseason now and going, well, if you weren't like all in on the Detroit bandwagon, like it's really easy to root for LA right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So look, I think Makar's the best D-man in the league. I want him to truly assert that. I think he's had his stretches. I know he's the best D-man. I think there's even more for him to show. But right now, Werenski's a point better than him this season. I think Makar's the better player. I'd like to see that truly show in the stats and for him to take like a 10-point leap over Werenski. But we'll see. And we'll see. I think that could be a bar for the Avs. If Cale explodes and grabs that Norris Trophy, that's good news for the Avs.
Without a doubt. All right, Spring, it's gonna do it for us. Late past 11 here. We got to get off to bed, get ready for this polar vortex that's already, apparently Evan Rowell of the Gazette has already lost his power, so not a great sign for him with the negative 15-degree temperatures that are coming in. But unfortunately, Avs lose 4-3. They'll be back on the ice on Saturday at 2 p.m. against the Dallas Stars, and then you have a 1 p.m. matchup on Monday on the holiday against the Minnesota Wild. So a couple of afternoon delights of Avs hockey for you guys. We'll talk to you guys after those ones. Have a great weekend. Stay inside, cozy up on the couch, watch some football, play some video games. Just don't get frostbitten. That's all I'm saying to you guys. That's it.
Yeah, keep
See
your
ya.
toes.
Keep your toes.